Hi everyone, this is Martina. In a follow-up to my previous video about the hormones and hormone balance, I'd like to talk about cortisol a little bit. Now, cortisol is stress hormone, and I have mentioned last time that the ultimate enemy of the hormonal balance is stress. And I do not mean the short-term acute stress that can be quite helpful and even life-saving. That is not what I mean talking about. I mean the long-term chronic stress that takes weeks, months, or even years in some case. This is quite harmful on many levels to our health. And one of those levels would be also hormones, other hormones, and the hormonal balance. So what is really happening in our body when we do experience chronic stress for a long period of time? Now, our bodies are not really made to be under pressure and in tension for such a long time. Cortisol as a stress hormone triggers our flight or fight mode. That's something which triggers and initiates our ultimate life-saving behaviors and our instinct, really, life-saving instincts. And that's where it comes to play as a beneficial stress, right? That is the short-term acute stress. But if this kind of tension and if this kind of pressure cooker does take too long, our body really starts to shut down certain processes as a result of this constant tension, which we do see and which we do feel. So what is really happening? When the cortisol levels are high, it does influence, among other things, negatively also insulin. That means that while in the normal circumstances, our blood glucose is quite steady or balanced, it does cause fluctuations in the blood glucose, since it does, without going to the biochemistry, influence negatively the insulin, as I have mentioned. So in that case, we do crave sugar in much larger scale than we would normally do, right? We definitely in the afternoon, when our energy levels drop, between 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. perhaps, we do have sugar cravings and we reach out for the sugary, unhealthy foods most often, right? Now, in addition to that, what does it mean that our blood sugar really spikes? And as fast as it spikes as a result of the sugar foods which we are eating, then it does drop again quite fast, quite significantly. And that's where we come to the vicious circle all over again. In case our cortisol level does not drop and does remain high, right? So the one point where the cortisol does influence negatively other hormones is the insulin, is the blood glucose, sugar, blood glucose fluctuations, and the sugar cravings, which does have effect on negatively on immune system, on acidity in the body, for example, on pancreatic function, on digestion, and on our weight, right? If this persists over a long period of time, I'm not talking about one day, right? So that would be number one. Number two, it does influence negatively also thyroid hormones. Now, thyroid is a very delicate gland and very delicate hormonal, among other things, hormonal gland, right? Whether you are hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, thyroid in general has, among other things, also to do with our metabolic rate. And so people who have increased function of the thyroid gland have difficulties to gain weight, rather on contrary, people with lower function of thyroid gland have difficulties to lose weight, right? And so when we have increased levels of cortisol for a long period of time, it does negatively influence also metabolic rate. And through, as a secondary effect, through negatively impacting thyroid gland, right? It will, for example, second thing. Now, when we are stressed, in general, we tend to eat hastily and we tend to eat fast. We really do not pay attention to the food. We do not stay consciously with the food, and we just eat for the sake of eating. Either we have a work meeting or our mind wanders somewhere else and we just eating really without paying attention to the food as such. So we do tend to eat faster than we normally would, and we do not chew properly. That's the ultimate, most probably the worst, one of the worst things which we do, or habits which we do when we are stressed over a longer period of time. So when we do not chew properly, we tend to eat more because the satiety comes later and it doesn't come as fast as when we chew properly. So we do eat more amount of food than we would normally do. And B, since we are not chewing properly, we are strengthening or straining rather our stomach and entire digestive system. So the stomach does need to work much harder to digest all the food. What is happening in the stomach, obviously through the stomach acid, it gets broken down, all the food gets broken down, and the solid parts get really to one liquid sort of mass, right? And so it does take much longer for stomach to reach that point that the food can be moved on farther in the digestive tract, meaning to the small intestine, right, etc. So we have to keep in mind that chewing has incredible importance for our digestive tract, not only for the satiety, which I have mentioned, but really from the metabolic rate and for digestion, really, because the saliva, which we do have, and when we chew the foods, obviously saliva helps the digestion. There are already digestive enzymes in there, and definitely carbohydrates do get digested already in the mouth. So mouth as such, it does not have only role in breaking down the food through the teeth, but also start the digestion through saliva and the proper chewing. When we chew properly, the food, each bite gets mixed properly with saliva and starts digestion through digestive enzyme present in saliva, right? So when we are stressed, we do not chew properly. It does straining our stomach quite significantly, and the stomach has to work much harder. That's why we maybe many times have cramps, stomach cramps, or sometimes people who are really stressed cannot really eat a lot or cannot eat at all, unlike to others that do eat a lot as a result of the insulin function, which I have mentioned previously. So these are only 3 points which stress really influences negatively, or cortisol rather influences negatively. The other one would be melatonin, which helps us to sleep better and to sleep properly, really, right? So it will be the fourth one already. So there are a lot of stuff that is happening in the body when we are chronically stressed over a long period of time. So this is a lead up and a promotion to my course, which I'm going to be launching shortly in a few days or perhaps up to 2 weeks' time, where you can learn a lot about this kind of stuff which I have explained about cortisol. There will be information about testosterone, for example, estrogen, insulin, thyroid gland, and all these most important hormones that are influencing us on day-to-day basis, which are we are not even aware of. And that is all right, it's fine. We should not be even in the normal circumstances aware of these in the healthy state, right? So not only the information about the basic information about all these hormones is present in the course, but at the end we lead up to the weekly balance, or the week of hormonal balance rather, where you'll be provided a weekly meal plan for every day, 3 meals a day. You'll learn which herbs and foods do stimulate the healthy hormonal production and which are not. Which foods and herbs suppress sugar cravings, for example. Which herbs stimulate better digestion, for example. Right? There will be also information, quite substantial information about herbal medicine and herbs that can help us with imbalances in estrogen levels, and herbs that are stimulating healthy testosterone levels, as many times the men's health is not being talked about a lot. However, we need to talk about men's health too. And so this kind of information will be there too, which adaptogens can help you in terms of re-establishing the hormonal balance, as well as simple activities for the day-to-day practice and for the day-to-day routine, which you could or should perhaps include if you'd like to re-establish this equilibrium wherever you are in your life, no matter if you are in your 30s or if you are 50s or 60s, it doesn't really matter. You will always be able to find the information which is suitable for your particular and unique situation. So if you'd like to know more, and if you'd like to learn about which herbs can help you, what kind of foods to eat or not to eat when you are struggling with the hormones, then stay tuned. You will be able to access this information in a short period of time on my webpage. So that's all for now, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.